I'm on a mission to stop doom scrolling and get design inspiration in the real world. I left my 9 to 5 and then suddenly I was stuck in my home office getting design inspiration by constantly scrolling on Pinterest and social media. All this helps to lead to is creative block and fatigue, so come on. Let's get outside. So I'm going to create designs based on what I find in the real world. So join me on my mission in 2026 to stop scrolling and start seeing. Good morning everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding Design Inspiration Beyond the Screen. And I am off to Brixton. Now I can't complain for this episode about the rain and the cold as it has been for most of the episodes that I've been on. Today is actually nice and sunny, as you can see from the sun glaring into the car. I'm looking forward to going to Brixton as it's quite nostalgic for me because I grew up spending a lot of time going to Brixton. I remember, I don't know, for those of you who can remember as well, going to Brixton Market on a Saturday morning with your parents, lugging that trolley around, doing all the shopping. And Brixton's changed a lot since those days, and I feel like often when I go to Brixton I just go there and I'm in and out, so it'd be nice to actually spend some time looking around and walking around Brixton with, you know, intention and seeing all the changes that, you know, has been made to the area. Yeah, looking forward. again, everyone. So I've just finished my walk around Brixton and I really enjoy that. As I said, it's quite nostalgic for me because it's an area that I used to go to a lot as a child, and as I mentioned before, it's changed so much. It was just weird not seeing the usual spots that I would go to as a child. So yeah, it was really good, got lots of inspiration. So I'm looking forward to getting home and looking through all the footage and choosing my 3 top images or pieces of art that I'm going to create a design from. So yeah, time to head home and have a look. Hi everyone, so it's the next day after my look around Brixton for design inspiration beyond the screen, and as I mentioned earlier on in the vlog, it's pretty nostalgic for me. I spent a lot of my childhood around Brixton, so it's good to, as I mentioned, really look around and see all the changes that have been made to Brixton over the years, because as I've said, a lot of the times if I do go to Brixton, I'm like in and out, I'm really busy, I don't really have time to really wander around and take in my surroundings, which I got to do yesterday. So what I'm going to do first is show you the 3 images. They're actually all pieces of artwork this week. So my top 3 pieces of artwork that I'm then going to create a design that's inspired by this piece of artwork. So let me print out those 3 pieces of artwork and then I'll talk through what I liked about them, and then I'll let you know what my favorite piece of artwork is that I'm going to create a design based on. These are my favourite pieces of artwork found on my walk around Brixton yesterday. And I'll start at the top. So I really like the colours on this piece of artwork. I like the way it's painted on a brick wall. I like the colours and I like the representation of quite a few women in this picture in basketball. So I like that one. And then I like this piece of artwork that is painted on the chip shop. So it all features iconic rappers from the past, and I think most of them are no longer with us now, if not all of them. And then this piece of artwork is just a classic. I couldn't not include it. You know, it's quite an iconic piece of artwork in Brixton, created in the early 1980s, before I think I was even born. It just represents all the different cultures, races, and of children in Brixton, and just look how happy and joyful they are. So that was one of them as well. But my favourite piece of artwork that I'm going to create a design inspired by is this one. Just stands out when you walk in Brixton, so I have to create something based on this. So you've seen my 3 top pieces of artwork that I found in Brixton, and you've also seen my top piece of artwork that I found in Brixton, which is the artwork on the chip shop, which featured famous rap icons. So what I'm going to do is create a web design based on this, and because it's an artwork based around music and it's quite nostalgic from the golden hip hop era, I'm going to create a podcast that is a nostalgic based podcast that looks back at 90s and the early 2000s R&B and hip hop and rap era. And this podcast is called Rewind the Tape. So tapes no longer exist. So I want to think of something that was, again, nostalgic to those days, or when we was listening to music. So when I was growing up, it was a tape. You had your LimeWire where you was burning your music and things like that. So yeah, let's get on with the design. I'm adding in the header image background, the logo and the navigation. Another image and then some text behind the image, and this will be scrolling on the back of the image. Now I'm going to add some CTAs where people can click through and listen to the podcast. Now I'm adding in the about area. And then this is an area where people can listen to the latest episodes. And then I'm adding in some stats about the podcast to encourage people to listen if they haven't listened before. As the footer area, adding in a striking image of a microphone to represent the podcast, the logo and everything else you usually have in a footer. Here it is, Rewind the Tape, a nostalgic podcast that focuses on the golden hip hop era. Let me show you a close-up of the logo I created for this podcast. And here's the image I was inspired by on my walk around Brixton. So that's the end of the vlog, and I hope you enjoyed my walk around Brixton to find design inspiration beyond the screen. Let me know what your favourite piece of artwork that you saw on my walk around Brixton, and also let me know what you think of the design that I created. Obviously, as I've mentioned before in previous vlogs, I don't have a lot of time to create these passion projects. So if I had more time, I'd think a little bit more about the UI and UX. But anyway, that's what I've come up with, and I'll see you in the next one, guys, when I find design inspiration beyond the screen. Take care, guys, and have a good one.